All right, so I don't know what compelled me to do this video because I made it really hard on myself. Today we're gonna compare which makes more profit for me, the Goodwill outlet or the bins, or the Goodwill retail store. The theory is that the Goodwill outlet doesn't have a ton of stuff because it goes to the regular Goodwill store first. So they have better stuff there, but you're gonna pay more for those items. So which one is gonna give me more profit? So I actually didn't film a lot of footage, but here is my cart, my first go around before I kind of got kicked out because they were replacing the bins and doing their rotation. And usually my Goodwill outlet only does one rotation a day that I know of around noon. So once they put the new bins out, you can see that I really piled things on. Look at my little cart down there. So this was a really good day, and I found a cart full. I think might be the most I've spent in like months at the Goodwill outlet. All right, so my plan was to do the bins for 2 hours and then do the regular Goodwill for 2 hours. And since the bins is so much cheaper and you can get so much more stuff in volume, and then Goodwill has sometimes better stuff, I wanted to compare the two to see which one would make me more profit. But the bins were just so good today that I couldn't leave. So what time is it? I think it's almost 3. So I was at the bins for over 4 hours. I don't think it's gonna be a fair comparison because the bins were really good today. I mean, I don't find like designer items or anything crazy, but they were much better than usual, so. Since I was at the bins for so long, I just went to the Goodwill retail store the next day. The first thing I saw was these Sorel boots, which I was excited about until I saw they were charging $35 for them. Great deal for someone at Goodwill, not a great deal for reselling, so I put those back. And then I was looking at the new shoe rack and I saw these birdies, and this brand, in the back of my head, I felt like I knew that it was a decent seller. So I grabbed those and I kept looking, and then I ended up finding like many pairs of these, not these specific, but birdies in general in like the same size. This is a pair of women's Ariat boots, and Ariat, anytime I see that logo, I'm like, yes, please. They were marked up a little bit at $15.99, but they looked like they were in decent condition and maybe just a little bit dirty, so I did put them in my cart to do a little more research. I think I got really lucky because this like cart of stuff to put away, of new stuff, was just sitting there waiting for me. I found lots more birdies and I added them all to my cart to kind of just do a little more research and decide if I wanted to grab them all, but there were probably like 5 pairs at least on this cart, which is great. Usually I don't find this kind of stuff. Usually I find very little in the shoe section just because everything is so worn, or anything that's not, they're like asking $30 for. So I think I got really lucky just walking in when I did, because this is not common for me. And then another brand that I found was these like Ilse Jacobson, I think, shoes. They just looked interesting, so I looked them up, and it looks like they sell for $30 to $40 resale value. So those were interesting to me too, and they seem to be in decent condition, not super duper worn, just a little bit dirty from light wear. So I threw both pairs in my cart as well. When I'm shopping, I usually will do like a little bit of research in the Goodwill retail store. I'll do a little bit of research, just real quick, throw things in my cart, and then I will go and sort later because I don't want to stand there for a long time and make decisions. I want to see everything that I can find and then make decisions based on my full cart. I did find a couple more pairs of birdies, another pair of the Ilse Jacobson shoes. It looks like it might be the same person because they are very similar in size, and I'm wondering if that person just like cleaned out their closet and they're like, I'm done with these 2 brands. Because look at that cart full. And then I found some Allbirds. This is my first time ever finding Allbirds. They were super tiny, but they had them priced at like $7, so I figured it was worth the risk and threw them in my cart as well. And then I moved on to clothes, and I found this Hot Topic, I guess overall, short all, and it sells for about $25, but I decided the sell-through rate wasn't great on it, and I didn't want to pay almost $10 for those. I did find this new with the tags Athleta, which I was excited about at first until I saw how much they were asking for it. It did have the tags attached, but Goodwill also had their own tag attached for $34.99, so I passed on that. I was so excited when I saw these new with tag Spanx, but then I saw that Goodwill had marked them up to $30 and they sell for basically $30, so I ended up leaving them there. Sad. And then I went to the kids section. I always like checking the kids section just because I have kids too. I found a couple of these swim zip, like full body swimsuits for babies. They sell okay. $5 and a $15 is not usually my business model. Some of the cuter prints sell for a little bit more, so I actually threw this in my cart just in case, because I thought this one was a lot cuter. And then I saw these Minby bottles. I am not familiar with the brand, but any like brand that I'm unfamiliar with, I always look it up because sometimes it's a generic brand, sometimes it's a brand that's more of a specialty brand that's sought after. So I did look those up and decide to throw those in my cart. You can see the cooler that I bought for myself as well. And then, oh my gosh, Pyrex. It hurts me to leave it there, but it just does not sell well, and they always mark it up. Like this little bowl was, I think, almost $10, and it just isn't worth it to sell, but I don't know. Something about me. I'm drawn to it. I think most of us are. I really liked these mugs, and I looked them up, and these mugs specifically, there were no solds for, but this brand, Big Sky Carvers, did have some mugs that sold really well, so I will keep an eye out on that. And then I do like to, whenever there's a set, especially like a vintage set, I will look it up just to see, because sometimes they can sell for a lot. Unfortunately, in this case, they didn't. I just liked this mug with this little like thumb holder frog situation. I thought it was cute. If I needed a mug, I would have bought it, but I don't need a mug. And then I went over to the rack of stuff they were putting away, and again, more Pyrex that I'm not going to purchase because I'm not paying $15 for that. But there wasn't actually much on this rack. There was some more pottery, and this one was from like Mexico. Look at these gorgeous little mugs, I guess. When they're little, I don't want to call them mugs. But this was a set of, I think, 4. And then there was like a little creamer. And I don't know how to sell things without a brand. It's really hard for me to sell things without a brand. I don't know if it'll sell well, so I left them there even though they were pretty. This elephant was really heavy and looked really interesting until I realized they were asking $20 for it. And then I went back over to the clothes, and the way this sweatshirt felt, I needed more information. And the brand is Viori. I believe that's how you say it, maybe. And I was shocked when I saw how much this brand sells for. So this is a new to me brand, one that I will definitely be looking out for. And I will take $10 into $50 any day. Next, I could tell that this was Lululemon just by touching it. It was a size 4. Size tag was easy to find. It was in really good condition. I don't always pick up Lululemon, but black leggings are pretty easy to sell, and I think I can get at least $30 for them. And then I found this vintage Champion pullover, and I sat here for a long time trying to decide if I wanted to add it to my cart, just because it's not really the right season for it, and the comps weren't that great. They were kind of all over the place, so I was super undecided, but ended up leaving it there. I actually just liked this Van Gogh pullover. I thought it was really cool, but unfortunately it didn't have much of a resale value. So again, left it there. You find so much stuff at the thrift store that you want to pick up, but you don't. This is a Spirit jersey from Disneyland, and I know that these do well. They did at least a couple years ago, and I looked them up, and this one sells for $50, so I was super excited to find that, especially in a large. And then I went over to the bags, and this is a Vera Bradley, but I felt like the print wasn't great, and for $15 I didn't really want to bring it home. Plus the zipper had some like wear on it. And then there was this like kind of tech bag or laptop bag that looked like it might sell okay, but again, it wasn't worth it. And then I instantly saw these Mickey ears on this tote bag, and I was so hopeful that it was something exciting, but when I looked up comps, I found that it wasn't really worth picking up, unfortunately, so I also left that there. I went over to the new rack, and they had pulled out some more stuff, and they had a lot of these cars. I looked all of them up, and this is the only one that looked like it was worth it. It was, I think, $12 or $13 and sold for around $30, so I threw that in my cart to do a little more research on. Then I went to the back of the store, found the stain on the Spirit jersey, put that back, and just kind of went through everything. This car had a lot of wear under the bumper, so I put that back as well. It's always important to just go back and kind of look everything over again. So I just made like a little spot right here where I was going through everything. And put back the things that I decided either weren't in good condition or wasn't worth the investment. And then on my way back around, I did see another new rack, and I saw these like Honey Love shapewear, and they sell pretty good. The used ones around $30, and then the new ones around $50. So I did end up adding those to my cart to check out. And then here is proof that I put my stuff back, and I don't just leave a pile in the back there. The Goodwill workers work hard to keep the store clean, and I think it's important to not be a jerk. So there's my proof that I put all this stuff back. I actually put these shoes on the shelf instead of just on the new rack. I didn't find the exact right color spots to put them in, but I did my best. Now, I spent 3.5 hours at the Goodwill outlet and just about 3 hours at the retail store for this video, so I'm going to call it even. One thing I do want to note is that the Goodwill outlet was a lot better than usual for me. but I'm interested to see how this turns out anyway. Let's go. So I think my plan of action is to sort through all of my Goodwill outlet stuff and kind of sort it into like what I'm going to sell on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, and then what I'm going to sell on Whatnot, because I do sell on both platforms. So the items that I'm going to sell on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari are items that are generally going to sell for more than $20 a piece. The items that I'll sell on Whatnot are going to sell for $2 if they're kids' clothes or $4 if they're adult clothes. Some items do get bid up, but most items do sell at that starting bid price because I'm just not big enough to have a large audience yet. So by dividing everything up, I'm going to be able to kind of calculate how much I'm going to be able to charge for all these items. Of course, there's always the fact that not everything is going to sell. So we'll talk about that in a second, but for now, I'm going to divide everything up and kind of figure out that math. All right, so I have sorted everything. Over here we have eBay. Here we have Whatnot adult clothing. And then I have a little tiny pile of Whatnot kids clothing. And then over here is stuff that I'm going to either put away for fall time. Like I do have a bin. I do have a bin where I'm putting like more wintry stuff in because it's just not worth it to sell it right now. I could list it and sell it, but I'd rather spend my time listing things that might sell in the next couple of months. And then when winter comes, or when probably around August or September comes, I will list all these items and I will have plenty of inventory to list without having to spend a ton of money. And I will have lots of stuff that's like seasonally appropriate. So that's what this stuff is going to do. So I'm just gonna kind of write this stuff off for now. I don't know if that makes it unfair or not, but that's what we're going to do for now because I don't know what else to do. But as far as the bins items goes, we have 1, 2, 3 kids items. So $2 each, let's say about $6 for those items. And then let me count all of these and they will be $4 each. All right, so we have exactly 40 items. So that's $160 in sales on Whatnot if everything sells for $4. Some items won't sell. Some items will sell for a little bit more, but about $160 plus the 6, so 166 items for Whatnot from the bins. Now I'm gonna have to go over to the computer and look all of these items up and then let you know how much I should be able to get for these items on eBay or Poshmark or Mercari. Basically not on Whatnot. All right, now we're going to be looking on eBay and I'm just gonna look everything up really quickly and give like a little estimate of what I would list it for. And I'm gonna round down a little bit just because some things do offer or sell for best offer or during a sale or whatever. First up, we have a silk scarf. So this silk scarf, there are 39 results and not a ton of sold. So I'm going to say $20 on this silk scarf. All right, next we have a pair of cut from the cloth, like Bermuda shorts, like the longer shorts. They are brand new with tags. Cut from the cloth doesn't sell very well anymore, but these might. Like, look at this pair. It is a plus size, but this is a brand new with tags. So this is very similar. So is this one. Mine is not a cutoff though, but there are solds in like the 25 to 30 range. So I'm going to say 25 on these. All right, next we have a Banana Republic 100% merino wool sweater. This will actually sell better in the fall, but I accidentally put them in this pile, so I'm going to include it here. They're not going to be selling very well right now because it's a little bit hot. Let's see if we can scroll back to like February or March. They are selling a little bit better. Not great. So I'll probably sell this. Let's say we'll sell this for 15 just to round down. All right, next we have a hot pink Banana Republic merino wool sweater. This is a women's sweater. It does have like a cable knit on it, but I think this is a little bit more unique and it is women's. So I'm gonna say 20 on this. Like I said, I am running down. I will probably list these at like 20% higher than the price I'm giving you, just because I want to just be fair, because it probably won't sell for the exact listing price every time. So next we have a soft surroundings 2X sweater. All right, on the soft surroundings sweater, I'm not seeing anything very similar, but I'm gonna guess about 25 on this. We've got another Banana Republic merino wool sweater, and this is a smaller size, so I'm gonna put 15 down for this. All right, I might have found this exact sweater, or this exact dress, no. So this dress on the screen has like almost the exact print, but it's more of like a ruched mermaid fit, but $185, oh my goodness. All right. So I'm not going to say I can get 185, but let's say I can get 100 because this is still very Y2K and I think it's the exact same print. it looks very similar. So I'm gonna say 100 on this dress, which I thought was gonna be like 40 when I was at the bins. So I'm really excited about that one. All right, so the next one is this dress. It's by COS, C-O-S. It's a brand I've never found before. I feel like I've seen it before, but I don't know where. And I can't find the exact same dress, but it did feel nice. And the prices are kind of all over the place, but I'm gonna say I could probably get at least 45 for this. All right, next we have a pair of House of Harlow 1960 pants. These are a good size. They are size 12. They are navy, and I believe they're a very similar fit to this wide leg. They are brand new with tags. There is a TJ Maxx tag for $35 on it. So it does have the TJ Maxx tag, but it does not have the House of Harlow tag, but I think I can get at least 30 for these. All right, so this next find is a Y2K, like vintage find. This is an LEI denim mini skirt. Totally what people wore when I went to high school. These are all pre-owned, and this one's like a lighter wash. I don't know if that would be more or less desirable, but I don't see a lot of them, so I'm gonna probably list it for 25 or 30, and I'm gonna guess I'll get 20 for it, just to be safe. All right, next we have a cashmere sweater. It's Clan Douglas Nordstrom, made in Scotland, 100% cashmere. It is green, is a men's large. This is not the right time for it, so I probably should have put it in the pile with all the sweaters. But I'm going to say I can get at least 50 for this, but let's say 40. But I'll probably have to wait until probably October or November to get what I want for it. So this cut loose cardigan that I found, I've seen this brand a couple of times. I'm not familiar with it, but I could tell it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. I can tell it's more of a mature brand. Here is the tag. This might be an older tag, but this is almost like a cropped cardigan. But looking at the comps here, this is very similar. But in a different color. This is like a purple blue color. So I'm going to say I can get 20 bucks for it. All right, next up we have an Eileen Fisher skirt, and this is hilarious because I was looking through a bin and I was thinking about how this item was not going to be something good because I could tell it was just like a plain black maxi. It's like one of those like kind of jersey knit casual maxis, and I see them all the time. And they were very popular in like the early 2000s, maybe mid 2010s-ish. And I grabbed it anyway just to see, and it was Eileen Fisher. It's almost the exact same one as this, so I'm going to say I can get 30 for this. But it's just funny that I was not going to grab this. I was like, I know this isn't going to be anything good. And then, what do you know? Eileen Fisher. All right, for the sake of time, we have another cashmere sweater. This one is LL Bean. I'm just going to say $25 on this. All right, next we have a cut loose linen black skirt. And this one is $29.99, but is free shipping. So I'm going to say I can get 20 bucks for this just to be safe. All right, so I found this exact Lululemon pullover and I sold it on Whatnot, and I think it sold for like $6. The reflective stripe that you see right here was actually peeling, so it is what it is, and I love giving everybody on Whatnot a good deal, but this one I think I am going to list because it is in better condition, and I'm going to bet that closer to fall time I can get 35 for this. All right, next up I have a green cashmere poncho. It is 100% cashmere, but it doesn't have a brand tag on it. So looking at these, I'm thinking I can probably get around 30 for it, probably more honestly once winter comes, but because of the brand tag I'm not sure, so I'm going to say 30. I have a South Pole red thermal. This is kind of like vintage now, I feel like. It's in size XXL, which is a great size. It's in good condition, and it's very similar to this one with just the little South Pole logo right there, but my logo is black. This one sold for $29, so I'm going to say 25. Next up we have this Chico's like one shoulder top. I know Chico's is generally going to sell for around $20 for me, so I'm just going to put 20 down. And last but not least is a pair of embellished Miss Me shorts. A lot of people don't sell Miss Me anymore, but because it's not as popular as it was before, but these embellished ones, especially now that summer's coming and there are festivals and all sorts of fun things, I think that this will be a good sell. This pair sold for best offer. So I'm thinking I can probably get, I'm going to say 20 just to be safe. All right, so adding up all of my numbers for the bins haul, we said $164 for the Whatnot items if everything sold for either $4 for adult items and $2 for kids items. And then I just did all of the eBay items, which was probably around 20 items or so. And our grand total is $580. So if we add those together, that is a total of $744 in sales from our bins haul. That doesn't take into account fees or anything because with eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, the fees are all different. But we're going to say about $744 in sales if everything sold. And that doesn't even count like the Christmas tree skirts and the couple of sweaters that I put away. So probably over $1,000 when you consider everything. I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat when you see what I got from the regular Goodwill store. All right, it's been a couple of days since I've filmed the last parts of this video, but I'm finally able to sit down and show you what I got from the retail Goodwill, and kind of add all those numbers up for you so that we can figure out which one wins in this little competition that I created. So I have 2 bags of stuff. I got a lot less stuff, obviously. At the regular Goodwill, paying up for everything, you have to be like a lot more conscious of what you're buying. So I think I bought about 10 items total, and I'm going to show you everything I got right now along with what I think I'm going to be able to get for them. Some of the stuff you kind of already saw comps for when I was shopping, but I didn't get everything that I showed. I just like to show extra comps because I think that those are helpful to kind of see what things are selling for as you're watching. If you prefer me to not include things that I didn't purchase, I can totally do that. But I do like to include things that I'm thinking about because I think it's a good learning experience. All right, so the first thing is this Minby bottle set. I did show this in the video. It's just these like breastfeeding friendly bottles. If you know anything about breastfeeding, you know that sometimes a breastfeeding baby doesn't like a bottle, or they'll start to prefer a bottle over breastfeeding. So you kind of have to go with special bottles sometimes. So I think I can get about 25 for these. There are 2 bottles and then 2 sets of nipples as well. This is a new to me brand. The brand is Honey Love, and it's just looks like shapewear to me, but it actually does pretty well. This is the silhouette cami new with tags. I paid $10.99 and I should be able to get about $50 for this. I did also find a used one, which was a little cheaper, $7.79. Because it is used, I'll probably only be able to get about 30 for this, but I'll still take 7 into 30. All right, next I found some Lululemon pants in a size 4. They are in really good condition. There is no pilling whatsoever. It's really hard to know what you can sell Lululemon for, especially when it's like a solid black, because I don't know, those of you who can just like see pants and be like, oh, those are that style, you are amazing, because I never know what I have. I just kind of looked up in general if these are maybe Aligns. I don't know what they are. So my best guess here is about $30. Lululemon, good condition, should be able to go about 30. Oh, and I paid $8.79. All right, the last clothing item is a brand that I've never heard of, but when I touched it, I could tell that it felt different. It's really soft. And they didn't have the size or brand tag at the top. It's like I don't know if they pulled it out or what, but there was this little tiny tag, and the brand is Viore, I believe. And this looks like it should sell for about $50. It does have a little bit of a smudge on the sleeve, so I'm gonna run this through the washer, but I can get probably about 50 for this. And I paid $9.49 for this. All right, next, you saw that I found all those Birdies shoes, and there was another brand. And I had never found Birdies. I didn't even really know that I knew that brand, but for some reason in the back of my head, I was like, someone has mentioned this, or I've heard of this brand somewhere, and it might do okay. So I started looking them up, and then when I found one, I found more. So it looks like someone just like donated their entire collection or a large part of their collection, and they were big fans. So I did get several pairs. I didn't get all of them just because they don't sell for a lot, and I'm paying up for them. And some of them did have little flaws, like little tiny marks. If there's a tiny mark and my intention is to clean it to get more, it's not gonna happen. So I just leave it there. So the first pair I got were these like pom-pom ones. And I couldn't find this color sold, but I did pay $8.49 for these, and I believe I can get about 30 out of them. All right, and then this is another pair of Birdies that I got. These are just like kind of a red burgundy, really soft one. These were only $5.79, which is why I grabbed them, and they're in really good condition. There was another pair that had like a little mark, so I left that one there. And I think I can get 30 for these as well. The other shoe brand that I didn't know about is Ilse Jacobson, and there were several pairs of these as well. I only grabbed one pair. I paid $8.49, and I should be able to get at least 30 out of these. This is my first time ever finding Allbirds. I know there are fakes out there, but these seemed real. I'll have to do some research. They do have the little tag on the side. They do look like they've been worn very minimally. They are a very small size, but you know what? I found them for $6.79, and I thought I would take a risk. I know they don't sell as well as they used to. It is a very small size. I believe it's like a 5.5. Oh yeah, it says right there. A 5.5, but I think I can get probably 30 for these. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know, we'll see, but I like this green color. All right, next we have one last pair of Birdies. These are like a suede flat loafer type situation, and I paid $8.49 for these, and I can probably get about 30 for these as well. Like with the other stuff, I'm kind of rounding down a little bit just to be a little more conservative with my estimate. And then the last thing I got were these Ariat boots, and I don't know if these were a good buy or not. I did pay up for them. They were $15.99. They should sell for close to 50. I think I wrote down I could probably get 40 for them just because they are a little dirty, but the toe part seems like a little worn out or like sticky, but the rest of them feel fine. Like they're dirty, but I don't see a lot of like wear on the bottom. Like it's dirty without being super worn, if that makes any sense. So I think I can get 40 for these. So $15 or $16 into 40 is still pretty decent, especially if I can get them to sell quickly. So all in all, I bought 11 items, and my total, if I can sell them for the prices that I told you on here, will be $370. So now let's go over the numbers of both and how much I paid and what the profit will be. So for the retail items that I just showed you, I said I could sell them for about $370. I spent $95.89 on them, so my profit would be $274.11. So $274.11 on those 11 items. And then for the bins items, the stuff that I'm going to sell on eBay, Poshmark, or on Mercari, I said I was going to be able to get $580 for, and then the stuff I was going to sell on Whatnot, I should be able to get about $164 for if they all sell for starting bid. So my total for that was $744 minus the $73.28 that I spent on it, so $670. So $274 versus $670 is a pretty big difference. The cost of goods at the bins was lower. It was just honestly a really good bins day. But even if I only found half of the items at the bins, I would still be beating the retail Goodwill, and I would have a lot less money invested. Now, the difference here is that for the retail Goodwill, I only have to list, store, and ship 11 items. With the bins, it's a total of 20 items that are going to be listed, stored, and shipped for eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari, and then 43 items that I'm going to be selling on Whatnot. So it is 63 items, which is a lot more stuff to kind of process, but I think the profit is there, and I think it makes a lot of sense to do it that way. The thing that I do like about selling on Whatnot, even though I'm only going to make $164-ish on 40 items, is that I don't have to take pictures and list them and then store them and then hope that they sell and send a bunch of offers on them and all of that. Like I can just hold them up and be like, does anybody want this? And if they want it, they can bid. If not, I put it back on my rack for the next show. Whereas with eBay and stuff, sometimes things just sit for a long time and it can be hard to have that cash flow coming in. So Whatnot is kind of like my cash flow. That brings my costs down a little bit because I can pay $1.09 per pound as long as I buy at least 20 pounds. And then also it can help me with my cash flow. So I can sell the stuff on Whatnot and have my money back and then go and shop again. Whereas with eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, I am making more per item, but sometimes I don't have money coming in for a couple of days and I might not have money to source. At least at this point where I have less than 100 items and I don't always have things selling really quickly. So clearly here our winner is the bins. I wouldn't say that the bins always is going to win. It's really just going to depend. The cost of goods at the bins is significantly lower. I don't even live in a good area for finding good stuff at the bins. I live in a smaller community. I live in an area with kind of more rural areas, and there's like one mall that has very few stores, and there's just not a lot of shopping and fashion and that kind of stuff going on here. So I'm kind of jealous of people who live in like San Francisco or LA. And I had access to LA for a long time, but it was such a pain in the butt to drive down there. So if you have access to good brands like that because you live in like a bigger city where people spend money on brands that have a good resale value, then definitely take advantage of the bins and see if you can find one near you to see if you can use that to source, because it really does help. I did want to mention that I am completely updating my reseller roadmap course. If you're more of a beginner and you kind of sell here and there, but you need help getting to a more consistent, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a month in sales, I'm going to be releasing the updated version in June. So I'm having a pre-relaunch sale, and you will get access to that in June. But because you won't get access to it right away, I do have it really heavily discounted. So if you want to check that out and get more information on it, you can check the link below. If you're watching this after June, then the link below will just take you directly to the reseller roadmap. I have over 200 students who have gone through it, and I love helping you guys start your reselling businesses and start making money from home. One of my biggest passions is showing people that they can make an income from home, and the reseller roadmap is a big part of that. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested, and I will see you next time. Bye.